Well, it was actually Ian issues, but I'm going to blame it on the computer.
Yeah, we were wondering if you were syncing over there or what was going on.
Oh, damn thing! Not working. I don't know why.
You don't have your boy there to turn it on.
No, I just FaceTimed him so he could tell me what to do.
Oh.
I'm the most computer illiterate one out of all of us, but without a doubt.
Mm-hmm.
So what's going on, guys?
Not much. What's going on with you, man?
Same old. Busy. Been doing yard work all day, actually. Nice to get out.
Yeah.
Nice to get out in the fresh air.
Yeah. How's the weather down there? You guys getting rain?
Right now, it's peeing it down right now. I got rained off. I'd nearly finished and I got rained off. But still a nice day to be out, without a doubt.
Mm-hmm.
You said you're doing some yard work?
Yeah, mowing, weed eating.
Man, that takes you. How long does that take you to do your? I know you have a big piece of property, don't you?
It takes me about 3 hours to mow it and weed eat it.
Yeah. Oh gosh.
What do you got? A zero turn?
Yeah, I got a zero turn. Yeah, but it's and that's not even doing it all. I mean, honestly, I could spend all day. We've got like 3 acres at the back of our land that I haven't even touched.
Wow.
Right.
I haven't even touched, but it's living in England with a garden as big as this bedroom.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, there's not much property over there, huh?
No.
So was that? I think that was you saying that the government pretty much owns everything over there, huh?
Yeah, it does. Yeah, basically, unless you're royalty, forget owning
Mm-hmm.
this amount of land. You know.
Yeah.
That's what I love about being here. To be honest with you.
Gotcha.
Absolutely great.
Hmm.
So, did you start without me, guys? I apologize for being late.
No, we just got started, man.
Yeah, we just started recording, so no, we're good to go. So,
cool. What's on the agenda?
So I'm just looking over our numbers here real quick, man. That Dorian Yates video is doing really well. It hit over 1,000 in like 3 days.
Well, that's good.
Yeah.
That's
good.
Good.
Subscribers are jumping up. 1.3 thousand subscribers now.
It's good, man.
So yeah, man, it's taking off. So imagine the day we're going to be sitting here, we're going to be saying, man, we just broke 100,000 subscribers or something like that.
Yeah.
That'd be awesome.
It'll happen without doubt.
Yeah.
It's just about getting the word out there.
Yeah.
Good though, we get some interesting guests on, and I think the interviews are not the normal interviews, you know.
Yeah.
I think we interview people a bit differently. It's more casual rather than regular boring questions that most people ask, I think.
Yeah, like I was like with Dorian, I was, kind of like, everybody's asking about your career, but I want to know, like I asked him, I said, what would Dorian do if he wasn't a bodybuilder? I'm sure nobody's really ever asked him that, because he was kind of caught off guard. He's like, oh, I guess I'd work with animals,
Yeah. No, it's cool.
Yeah.
It is cool, without a doubt. I think it's good to get to know these athletes in a different way than what people already know them,
Yeah, definitely. Most of these most of the guys are multifaceted, not just just one dimensional. I mean, usually when you're competing, you kind of have to be one and stay in one lane. But I mean, our lives are very much more intertwined with other things as well. So
I think it's interesting how bodybuilders take on other challenges in their life. We're all a bit different, but all those things that made you a good bodybuilder can be utilized into being successful at other things.
Well, that's what I agree 100%. That's what I tell everybody that I work with, is that if you can do this, the bodybuilding, I mean, there's nothing that you can't do after that.
Absolutely.
I mean, if you can take that same effort and apply it to any other endeavor in life, I mean, you'll be successful.
I agree. I mean, think about the hours and the dedication that you put into prepping for a show and just the off season. I mean, I think bodybuilding is the only sport where it is literally 365 days a year, 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. There's no let up. You can't have a meal off. You can't really have, a night where you don't sleep. I mean, everything has got to fall in place. I think there's more, I say this a lot, there's more dedication needed to be a bodybuilder than any other sport.
Oh, by far. And you can take the most genetically gifted individuals and they can't rely 100% on their talent.
No.
You still have to be dedicated. You still have to be disciplined, to a degree to be successful in the sport. So although some people may have a better, genetic disposition to the sport, that doesn't mean they're exempt from the discipline that it requires.
I agree. You know, you get a lot of athletes, and I think you get this in like football and other sports too, where the natural genetics would normally get them to the very, very top.
Yeah.
But with bodybuilding, I mean, I think it shows more with conditioning, don't you think?
Oh,
Right.
definitely, by far, because that's the one thing that, you know, that's one of the few things that we have control of in our hand, you know, is the conditioning. And you know the guys that have taken it to that degree where it's just, you know, extremely low, have really put in the work, the discipline, the sacrifice, the dedication it takes. So
Well, do you think there's really a big difference between the, like, you know, all these guys we've been interviewing talking about the 90s bodybuilders and today, how the conditioning they feel is different? Do you think it's different?
Do I think it's different?
Yeah.
Yeah, I do.
You do?
I mean, I think it's much different as well. I mean, it's hard to pinpoint exactly what the issue is. I don't know. I mean, but you'd see the top guys on any show back in the 90s, the top 5, top 6, top 10 are all in remarkable condition. Am I right, Ian?
Absolutely. I mean, it was almost like you can't walk on stage unless you get that conditioning, or don't expect to win or do well. You know, I think it's funny. I had this conversation earlier today, actually, with Maddie, and it's when I competed as an under 17 athlete, and then I competed my first under 21 show, my first junior show, was a qualifier for the NABA Britain, and I got beaten by a guy who was about 35 pounds lighter than me, a guy called Thomas Eves. And that was a big wake-up call. I was pissed off at the time because I was way bigger than him, but I didn't have the conditioning. So then for my next show, which was the NABA Junior Mr. Britain in 1988, I came into that show and I really dieted my ass off. I to the point where I thought I'd messed it up because I was so small. But people still to this day comment on how much of an impact I made. And that was really the start of my career, that next show, when I actually realized what real conditioning was. And like you say, you get a lot of really genetically gifted athletes with great shape, they get great size, but it almost comes too easy to them, and they're not prepared to suffer, because to get in really good condition, it's a dark, lonely place.
No, it's tough. It's tough. I mean, it's like when you're on the couch and you're fighting just to get up to go to the bathroom because you're just so fatigued and tired. You don't have the energy. At the end of the day, it's like, I would sit on the couch and just sit there and have to use the restroom so bad. I was like, ugh.
It's true. Sure when you're on a calorie deficit, you're going to be dragging ass, right? With everything.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. I mean, your body naturally does not want to be at a subpar level of body fat. It just doesn't want to be there. It's going to fight against you tooth and nail because it just doesn't want to be at these extreme low levels. So, I mean, it's a battle against yourself. You're fighting your body and all these natural survival mechanisms you have in your body that are telling you to eat, and like, nope, can't do it.
Mm-hmm. And Dorian,
really good.
A lot of people will be like, well, this is not normal. This is not natural to do this. Well, damn right it's not. You're not trying to look normal. You're trying to look unnormal. I mean, so you've got to do unnormal things, right?
Yeah.
Get that.
And another thing on the conditioning, you know what? I mean, I don't think it's just the athletes, because I mean, if you look at some of the shows, you see that the judges are rewarding, they have the tendency to reward the bigger, fuller guys.
So that's the way the direction of the sport.
So then of course, if like, I mean, speaking, you know, like, let's go back to the Tampa Pro this past weekend. I mean, I don't know if you guys seen the results.
Yeah.
Ian Valliere, not to knock him as a competitor, I think he's a phenomenal bodybuilder.
It is.
But I mean, if you looked at his physique compared to Phil Clahar, which was number 2, I mean, a lot of people that I talked to who were at the show, and both, you know, they were at the show and see the pictures online, they thought he should have been first place. But Ian was bigger, I mean, and fuller. So right there is like an example of, okay, the judges rewarded the bigger, fuller look.
So that's what everybody's going to follow.
So exactly. So as a competitor, I mean, if you want to have the competitive edge and possibly win, then I mean,
here's your top 4.
going into the next show is like, I mean, should I maybe sacrifice conditioning for fullness a little bit, or, you know?
Yeah, it's definitely what the judges reward. I mean, it's going back to any current Mr. Olympia in the past, Dorian, Lee Haney. That's what people emulate because that's the top of the ladder, and therefore the other athletes are chasing whatever look is rewarded, and that's what the direction of the sport's going to go.
Yeah,
so, you know, like you said, that the more the reward, the fuller, not as cut look, then the more athletes are going to go in that direction, obviously, because that's what's winning shows.
yeah, and I see that
too. It started actually funny how you guys mentioned conditioning. And in the 90s, yeah, the guys were all shredded. It wasn't until 2010 that the Bikini Olympia began. But if you look at Sonia Gonzalez was the 2010 Bikini Olympian, and she was not conditioned whatever at all. She was very soft, but very feminine. And the direction has changed so much with Issa winning, not last year, but the previous year.
Yep.
Conditioning was extreme. So a lot of the bikini girls now are going for extreme conditioning. That's what they were rewarding until Janet won, and then it kind of flipped, and now girls want a softer look.
Yeah,
it's always like you said, the judges, whatever they reward, girls start chasing.
And speaking of bikini, I remember when the bikini division, you know, first started. One of the first, I don't know if she was the first winner, but one of the first winners, Natalia Mello. In my eyes, that was like the ideal physique for bikini. I thought she was like conditioning, she had a good level of muscularity and clarity to the muscle as well, but she had femininity. So she was still, you know, she wasn't like overly hard, but when you look at her, you're like, okay, she works out. You know what I'm saying? So I thought that look was pretty good. So
I think that's a big mistake with bodybuilding that's happened in bodybuilding, where they bring out these other classes like bikini, like men's physique, and then the lines get blurred. You know, I mean, a lot of the men's physique guys that I see now, that's not what men's physique was or was brought in to be. The bodybuilders in board shorts. You know, some of the men's physique athletes I see are bigger than the bodybuilders.
Oh no,
and it's a shame, really, because the true men's physique athletes, like what the criteria should be, are now to the back of the bunch. Because these guys are coming bigger and bigger and bigger and fuller. And I think men's physique, when it first came in, was like the ultimate beach body, right? A more natural, attainable look.
Right.
It's gone south. I mean, that's why they brought classic bodybuilding in. I mean, I was having this conversation with my son earlier. Chris Bumstead, incredible physique, but in my opinion, now from last year, that's a bodybuilder.
Yeah.
It's phenomenal.
Not classic bodybuilding. You know, I actually sent what, you know, Wesley Vissers is.
Yeah.
Well, to me, Wesley Vissers is incredible. I think he's got an incredible physique. I actually messaged him on Instagram today.
He's very reminiscent of Arnold.
Yeah, that to me, that's like the ultimate classic physique. And there's a guy called Fabian Mayer who just competed in the Portugal Pro Show. He won the NABA Tall Class Mr. Universe in 2016. I was there. And honestly, he's one of the most complete physiques I have ever seen. I said on that day when I saw him in 2016, that's like the ultimate package. He got 5th at that show, and the guy that won it, to me, was just a short bodybuilder. It wasn't a classic, what I consider a classic bodybuilder. So it's like the lines get blurred. It's confusing to the athletes. I mean, I retired from bodybuilding in my 20s. I was sick of like the placings and the politics, but at least that was bodybuilding. You knew what criteria you were going for, you know. And I always felt bad for like the female bodybuilders because they were changing what they wanted all the time. It'd be Tonya Knight one year, then it'd be like a more muscular, bigger like Linda Murray another year. And they're two completely opposite physiques, and they didn't kind of stay in the lane. I feel like that's what they're doing with a lot of the classes now, which is it's hard for the athlete to adjust. Because I know when I did the Olympia in 1995, we were all chasing Dorian, obviously. And the what you were following was fuller, bigger, fuller. That's when that mass monster thing first came in. I went to that show like nearly 280 pounds. NASA was even bigger than that, I think. There were a lot of guys that came in full. And that year, Dorian came in like considerably lighter than he had been the year before. I think he came in at like 257 or something. And he was slight, don't get me wrong. But then he won that show. It's like, well, we didn't get the memo. Nobody sent us the email telling us that we need to, and that's how a lot of these athletes must feel, you know, in the bikini class or the men's physique. I think it's hard. It's hard.
Like, shouldn't the criteria be the criteria?
Yes.
I mean, shouldn't it be etched, shouldn't the criteria like be etched in stone and that's that? But see, this is another thing. There should be there's different, everybody's being judged on different accounts, correct? But what is priority? Because I mean, okay, so there's symmetry, there's, you know, level of conditioning, right? I mean, so you take a physique, you get muscularity, symmetry, conditioning. What do judges prioritize as, okay, well, you got great lines, you look good, but you don't have conditioning. I always was a conditioning buff, so I always like to make sure that, you know, I'm always as conditioned as possible. And anybody that I work with, I like to make sure that the conditioning is on point.
Yeah.
Because I always try to find, I mean, that I see that with symmetry and all that, you know, but I see conditioning should be the priority. I mean, because you can have somebody with great lines and great flow to their physique, but if they're not conditioned, should you reward that? Should that be?
We've had this in some of our shows recently where you've got like guys that have got, like, especially in classic bodybuilding, they've got better lines, the better poses, but then you'll get a guy that's just got the condition. And the way I described it to, because I'll personally phone up some of these athletes, you know, because they're obviously frustrated that they didn't win, and just like I used to be. And I have a different outlook on it now because I do judge and I coordinate my judges for the shows. And to me, it's the only way to judge it fairly is the ideal combination of all those things. You can't just judge on condition. You can't just judge on size or symmetry or posing. It's the person who ticks the most boxes off in each of those categories, and that's the most complete physique.
And I know I know when competitors are being judged, they're being judged pose by pose, who winning what pose. So say if you have two guys, one has great balance, the other one has good balance, but his conditioning is way better. But this other guy here, like I said, the balance is just a slight bit better. Who wins in that type of condition, in that type of position? I think a lot of judges, they tend to select, you know, just what the person's potential is. And for me, I was always like the idea of who's better that day.
Exactly. That's how it should be judged. You should judge
who's the best on that day for that show, because it's not fair to the guy who came in 100% and then you're rewarding the guy who's only 91%, but because he has better potential to be better down the road. I see that happen a lot, and it's just so disheartening, because I mean, these competitors, they spend so much time, energy, and effort into getting ready for these shows, and you just want to see them be rewarded for being the best bodybuilder that day, you know?
The only fair way to do it is judge
people up with criteria. Oh, I'm sorry, Ian. I think that's what makes criteria a little bit different for each show, just because the best person on that day is going to be rewarded, and that week might be different show. So I think that definitely affects criteria overall.
Like for the IFBB, you'll hear, you know, commentators and certain people talking and say, well, he has a better chance to go to the Olympia and do well. So what does that have to do with the day of the show? You know, I mean, that show.
Yeah, that's wrong. What I always say to my judges is judge what you see. Judge that what you see in front of you, that's what you judge. The best person who ticks all those boxes off that day, right in front of you, not what they can do, not what they look like on Instagram a week ago, you know, not what you think they're going to look like in 6 months. That's irrelevant. Judge what you see. It's the only fair way to do it, really. The only fair way to do it.
Yeah, 100%.
Yeah. Well, I was actually a victim of that. I mean, you know, Ryan, when I did Daytona last year, the guy that beat me.
Oh boy.
Yeah. You remember that? And we were just like, because you would come backstage and, you know, my conditioning was far better than him. Oh, you would even come backstage. Okay, you need to get ready for the overall, because you've got this guy hands down, and the guy wins. And then what was it? 2 weeks later, I beat him at Masters, and we didn't really change much. So
we improved a slight bit, but
we improved a slight bit, but my conditioning was still the same.
But he improved maybe a slight percentage as well. And like I said, but I mean, that
different judges.
Yeah, it's just like I said, it all depends on who's there judging that day, and you know what type of criteria that they prefer. I mean, like I said, but there should be a gold standard.
It should be written in black and white. That's what it should be. I mean,
Exactly, 100%.
we
Should
do.
be. It should be.
On our website, we have the criteria outlined and what we're looking for. And I normally have, I'll sit down and have a judges meeting before, and I'll express, what we are looking for in certain classes. And, but it's like, for instance, I always want to reward the small waist, wide shoulders. I want to, what bodybuilding should be, Superman, not the thing. But you can't ignore muscle mass. If somebody comes on and they're so much way ahead of somebody else in muscle mass, as a
maturity, muscle maturity.
Well, you appreciate that because you know how. I mean, you can change conditioning in a few weeks.
Mm-hmm.
It takes a long time to build muscle. So you have to take all those things into account. But ultimately, I think you see more and you see much more quality in the muscle when it's really conditioned. So it shines through more. But judging's tough. Judging is tough. I mean, it's never. I have a whole new sympathy for judges.
Yeah, I couldn't do it.
No, it's tough. It's very tough.
It's very hard because you can relate to so many different aspects, and you don't want to hurt anybody's feelings. But the only thing you can do is just be brutally honest about what you see in front of you.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. But I do think they should look at the direction they want the sport to go and understand that if you do reward this look, and that's what people are going to aim to be, and it can take things off in the wrong direction sometimes.
Yeah, that's what we talked about in bikini when Issa won. A lot of the girls started to go in the direction of much leaner, much harder, bigger lats, and it just became a little bit less feminine. And I think that's why the next year they awarded Janet, because she was way more feminine and softer. So
didn't you say though, Maddie, that when the current Miss Olympia in bikini has her hair curly instead of straight, or has a blue swimsuit on instead of a red swimsuit, didn't you say that they actually follow that too?
Well, I'll tell you that exactly. So when we see who's winning at these shows, girls will try to emulate it to the most. They'll wear the same earrings, they'll wear the same bikini, they'll do the same exact posing routine because that's what won. So that's, of course, is what girls are gonna lean towards.
Yeah. Do you think the color of the suit has a big impact on that, Maddie?
Yes, I learned this firsthand. I wanted to wear a yellow bikini to my first show. And, no, that was not a no-go. And the first thing my bikini designer said was, have you ever seen someone place first in a yellow bikini? And I thought, well, why does color matter? But it can't affect your sneaker.
I don't know if you remember India Paulino.
Mm-hmm.
She was notorious for wearing the yellow bikini, I believe, for a period of time, and she would win shows. But I mean, I guess depending on the skin tone,
it does.
Colors just don't go well with certain skin tones.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
she was darker skin, so I guess that may have worked for her. But I mean, she was the only one that could pull it off, though.
Right. Yeah, it does take a certain person to pull off that color. But if you look back at all the reigning Olympian bikini girls, it's either a blue or a purple or green.
Is this because I'm wearing a yellow shirt or what? what's going on here?
Personally, you won't find any yellow items in my wardrobe. I mean, don't go well with my skin tone.
I know I can't wear this anymore.
It's
funny you should say that though, buddy. I mean, it's when people ask me about what color posing suits should I use, and I have two practical reasonings. I don't want to wear anything white or bright yellow because number one, tan gets on it real quick.
Mm-hmm.
It looks like it doesn't look good. And then the other thing is, if you get anything that's brightly colored, it cuts your lines off. You've got no flow to your body, you know. Do you remember Bertil Fox years and years ago? You remember Bertil Fox, right? Bertil Fox once competed in the Olympia in white posing trunks.
Oh, jeez.
White. He actually looked like he had a nappy on a diaper. And it made his ass look huge.
His white tighties on.
It made his waist look massive because he was white, and like under the lights and with his skin color, it was like it just didn't work, you know.
Yeah.
You go like with a brown or a more earthy color, and then you got the flow to your physique much better. So it's man, this conversation is getting digressed, isn't it? We're going.
Yeah, man.
It's all good stuff, though. All good stuff. It's all relevant to competing and bodybuilding at the end of the day.
Yeah. So on a little segue here, Everybody's been talking about John Meadows
Oh yeah.
passing. Ian, did you know him? Did you ever have any dealings
Never
with
met him
him?
personally, but I knew of him.
Yeah.
I knew what he did, and I know he was very well liked by everybody that knew him personally. It's sad, man. It's sad.
Yeah,
It's
it's
not good.
extremely
Yeah.
sad. Very unfortunate.
Yeah. Well, I had met him at the last Olympia, and I didn't really know him personally, just talked to him a few times, but I just started, somebody I know was reaching out to him, and I was just starting to get some communication with him to come on the show. So it's sad.
Yeah, I went back and forth with John like for a period of time. I was considering hiring him back in 2017. But yeah, he's just one of those guys. I mean, it's just a joy, a pleasure to have known him and talked to him at any point. I mean, he's just a great individual.
Yeah, his training videos were crazy.
Yeah,
Crazy.
I really preferred his training style over a lot of people, just because of the intention he always had every movement. He was a very effective trainer. Sure. I looked up to him for sure for coaching. I'd watch his YouTube videos just for ideas on a leg day or whatever I was doing, and train some amazing athletes, and great YouTube account. Definitely a key player in the bodybuilding community. It's sad.
Oh, yeah.
So
He loved bodybuilding, right? I mean, he started at 13, and he was very active right through till his passing.
John had a very a childlike passion, a childlike love for the sport. I mean, he was just as pure as somebody can be about the sport. I mean, that was John. I mean, he was just an awesome individual. Everything he did in as far as his all the videos and his archives of videos that he has just on his YouTube page is just, you can just see the love and the passion in his eyes and in his voice for the sport of bodybuilding. And I mean, he's definitely a huge loss to the sport. And
he did that shoulder workout where he would take the bar and run it up the wall. Did you see that? He was one of the only ones I'd ever seen do that before.
yeah.
That shoulder press where you put the 45s on it, run it up the wall. I tried it a couple of times. It didn't go
I
over
think he
well.
did rack deads too. So
Yeah, he did. Yeah, he did rack pulls.
rack pull guy.
Yeah, he was a rack pull guy.
He could do a lot of different stuff. So but John was very, very, very very good at creating exercises like the Meadows rows. And I mean, he owned in so many different movements. I love watching all of his videos. If I'm trying to, try to find something different for training a body part, I mean, he's the go-to guy for me. He always has been.
Yeah, it's touched a lot of people's lives. I mean, I've seen how many people had pictures with him. I mean, he took pictures with. It looks like he took pictures with everybody.
He did care. He was very, very friendly.
Yeah, in a sport that can tend to be extremely selfish, John was the most selfless man that you'll ever talk to or ever meet. I mean,
certainly, he just wanted to spread knowledge, and he always helped the underdogs.
Yeah,
I thought he got his pro card a lot earlier, but it says here he got it in 2015.
Yeah, he got it at the Team Universe in the Masters.
In the Masters, yeah.
In the Team Universe. I mean, I believe he I'm not 100% sure, but I think he was like 30 something national level shows that he did before he actually turned pro. So
yeah. Did you ever hear has there been any updates as far as the cause?
Well, it's a pulmonary embolism is what.
That's what the final. I hadn't researched it yet, so.
Yeah, that was the final. The
autopsy.
The autopsy said that when he died in his sleep. So
yeah.
He had a heart attack a year ago, right?
Right.
Last May.
Yeah. Then he had 2005. He had colon. Was it colon cancer or some kind of colon disease?
No. He had a.
It says he had a rare colon disease called idiopathic.
Basically, what happened is one of the
hyperplasia.
One of the veins in his colon pretty much erupted and exploded, and he had to basically have his entire colon removed. So keep that in mind, that the guy had no colon whatsoever, and he accomplished what he did having to battle this complication that he had to endure.
Wow.
I mean, yeah, John was just a remarkable human being. I mean,
Yeah.
you'll never hear anybody or any forum say anything negative about the guy. He's one of the few that, you know, is all positive feedback from everybody that you talk to. Anybody that encountered him, anybody that dealt with him, or anybody that didn't even know him and just followed him. I mean, John was just a remarkable human being.
Yeah,
It's
definitely.
life's not fair sometimes, is it? You know,
Mhm.
fragile thing as well. Life's fragile, man. I learned that the hard way last year.
Mhm. Yeah, you just never know.
No, you never do.
Yeah, you know, unfortunately, in my line of work, every day I see it.
Yeah.
I'll take life for granted.
No, you really shouldn't, because
No.
it can be gone in no time. It's
Mm.
since I went through what I went through, I was real lucky to be here, and it's changed my outlook on everything.
Yeah.
Literally everything. I just don't think the way I used to think. I don't. Nothing. I think we all go through life to a certain extent expecting to live to 80 or 90, or, you know, oh yeah, I'm good, I've got this long. You know, it's, even if I have a bad day now, it's like a bad day is better than no day. You know, a bad day is a good day, really, if I'm here. You know, it's
Yeah.
it really kind of brings it home, and it's sad for his family. You know, his kids. I know he's got two boys, I think, and his
Yeah,
wife.
2 young boys.
That's the real tragedy right there.
Yeah, he was not. I mean, he was not only involved in the bodybuilding world, but he was also
Mhm.
and he was a football coach as well for his kids Pop Warner team,
Mhm.
but also for the junior high school that they went to too. So he was, not only did he affect, you know, grown bodybuilders and men, but he also affected and took the time to pour into these young men as well.
Mhm. Yeah, there's actually a GoFundMe page going for him, for the kids and his wife and stuff like that. And I'll put the link. I'll have to find it. I'll put it in the comments on the video here when I post it, so people can go on it.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah, rest in peace.
but anyways, well, back to rack pulls. Ian, see, somebody made a comment on, was it one of the videos I posted or one of your posts from Facebook? So somebody posted something about a comment about rack pulls.
Oh, really?
Yeah, you didn't see it?
It'd be somebody yanking my chain. That's what it is.
Yeah, it was somebody.
Right out.
It's catching on, man. It's catching on. This is the thing here.
Yeah, it said something about, yeah, maybe he needs to do some rack pulls or something. And I was loud.
Oh yeah, I think I did see
You
it.
see that?
Yeah.
I don't know if it was the post of the video or one of your posts.
That's funny.
I'm actually getting private messages now about rack pulls. One of my clients sent me a video of this guy doing rack pulls with like 6 plates aside.
Mhm.
I replied with, "That's a great waist widening exercise. You should do more of it. It'll work for his symmetry perfectly."
Yeah.
Like, hey, if John Meadows did it, then I guess they can't be all bad, right?
I'm surprised you didn't ask Dorian.
Yeah, I never thought about it.
Yeah, we'll have to get him. We'll have to get him back on and ask him that.
I couldn't get a word in edgeways with you.
Dorian did.
I kept trying to ask him a question, and Jason's like cutting me off. I'm like, okay.
Did I? I'm sorry. I apologize. By the way, I don't know why I'm holding this pen. I don't even have any paper in front of me.
Dorian he did.
I'm just so used to doing interviews and writing stuff down.
Dorian basically did do rack pulls. So he used to do the partial deads where he would take it down to about mid shin and come back up with a deadlift.
Yeah.
That's just like a rack pull. It's the same thing.
It is, yeah, exactly.
Mm-hmm.
You know what? We've all got different. That's the whole thing about bodybuilding, isn't it? There's not one way to train. There's not one way to diet. There's not, you know, everybody's body, and it's what you believe in as well. I mean, it's like if you're going fishing and you use a certain lure and you catch all your fish on that certain lure. Somebody gives you a lure that they're used to catching fish on, and you're probably not going to have confidence in it, so it's probably not going to work for you. You know, a lot of it's what you believe in. You know, what process you believe in, and I just talk about what I believe in and what I don't believe in for my physique and for my training. You know, look at
the physique you built doing what you did. It was, you know, legendary, and it's, you know, you put those pictures of you from back in the 90s. Now it's competitive still in this era. It's an amazing physique.
Well, thank you, man.
So hey, man, I mean, I bet Maddie does that rack deads though.
Yeah. Oh, you know what? Now that I'm thinking about it, now I remember. It was the one you posted with Dorian in the background.
The
I
picture.
posted that after the Dorian interview.
Yes, it was you in the background, and you said maybe he should start doing rack pulls like you or something like that. That's what it was. Now I remember. I have to find it.
Oh dear. Well, yeah, I'm gonna get some stick over that, but you know what? At least I'm honest.
Hey, man.
At least I'm honest about my thoughts. I don't pull any punches. I tell it as I see it. Simple as that. No, and I did do deadlifts. I just did stiff-legged deadlifts for my hamstrings. I just do, you know, to me, I'm big. I always have been. I've been big on getting a full, really stretching the muscle out with weight in my hand, or you know, whatever it is. I'm big on the stretch. Because to me, to fully develop any muscle, you need to fully stretch it and fully contract it, and then you'll develop it from insertion to insertion. That's my theory. That's the way I like to train.
Speaking of stiff legs, Ian and Ryan, I'm sure you know the answer to this too. Is there a difference between doing stiff legs with dumbbells versus barbells? Because I know for me, being tall, I use dumbbells because I can get a bigger stretch. Does it matter?
I always did it with a barbell, and I used to do it standing on a bench. So I take the bar past my toes. That's how I did them. But with a dumbbell, there really shouldn't be any difference. But I would imagine that with a dumbbell at the top, you can bring the dumbbells to your side, so you can kind of lean back more. Whereas with a bar, it stops you at a certain point. And you really, to me, when I used to do stiff-legged deadlifts, I never wanted to like lean back and flex my lower back. I'd come from kind of here and I'd stop about there. I won't go all the way back with my upper body. I'd stop at here. So I always kept my hamstrings engaged. But again, everybody's got different ways of doing them.
Yeah, I don't come all the way up either. Plus, it's harder for me to come all the way.
No, I kind of do it the same way. I did both, but I definitely preferred the dumbbell because with the range of motion, I can.
I know when we train, Ryan, I think we mostly do dumbbell.
Yeah, we do them with dumbbells. I prefer that over the bar, just preference. I mean, is there any evidence that says one's better than the other? No. I mean, I just like the feel better with the dumbbells personally, and I don't come all the way up and go back either because when you do that, it does take some of the load off the hamstring.
Yes.
So
switch into your lower back and take it out of the hamstring. But the one thing I did used to do a lot of, and you don't see people doing this much in gyms anymore, is you'll see people do like a single arm dumbbell row leaning against the pad, and they'll go really heavy. Well, I always do my dumbbell rows two dumbbells at a time, so you can't get that rotation. You don't have anything to leverage off, and people don't do them much in gyms because it's not as glamorous. You're not going to use as much weight. But to me, that's a superior way of doing a rowing motion, a dumbbell row, anyways. When you do both together, and half the time you can do both arms in one go.
People, like you said, people don't do them because it's harder.
Yeah,
it's tougher. I mean, it looks more glamorous when you're throwing the 150s around.
Yeah,
but also, I mean, what I would like to do, I'll usually set like a bench and put it in an incline position. And I'll strap into the dumbbells and lean forward in the bench and do the rows like that with the dumbbells.
Yeah, that's even stricter without a doubt. But they have those benches now that are really high, and you have like a bar underneath it. I don't know what they're called, but they look pretty cool. They look really cool.
I've tried those before.
Don't like it?
It was just the specific one that I used before. I feel like it limited my range of motion, and even though the bar has a little wedge in it so you can pull it, but I like to really, really drive those elbows all the way fully back to get that full deep contraction on the muscle. When I tried to do it on the bench that I did it on, it just limited that. So I couldn't really, really fully engage the entire contraction. So I think maybe it was just the one that I used. And then, I just didn't really like the way the bench was. I haven't tried all of them.
I always did things that weren't on a bench like that. It's because I couldn't get the stretch. When you're on a bench, that's your stretch.
Yeah.
When you're doing it with your body weight, you can really kind of round your shoulders and stretch your lats out more. But one thing that I used to love doing, and you don't see it in gyms anymore, is the old-fashioned T-bar rows where you had an elevated foot plate so you could stretch all the way down. They were a staple of my routine when I was when I was younger. But all you see now is landmines, what they call landmines. I have one here, but you can't get the stretch. So I've made a wooden block for mine, so you're elevated, so you can still get that stretch.
Yeah, I have the landmine in my gym too, and I usually put a step
Right.
underneath so it can fully lengthen and go all the way down. So it elevates you up so the bar can really fully go past, the entire without hitting the ground.
Yeah, exactly. I think that, a lot of the time I'd go to gyms and like you don't see it at like the chain gyms, but you kind of know if a bodybuilder owns that gym because there'll be like wooden blocks and
Yep.
things, just for doing stretches that you can't buy in a shop. You've got to kind of make them yourself. You know what I mean, right, Ray?
Oh, 100%. I have a big wooden block for doing like for calf raises on the Smith machine.
Yeah.
Where it's elevated, has two plaques, and has like the bar, the wood right across. No, I have a bunch of stuff like that, man.
Yeah, that's how bodybuilder owns the gym with there's pieces of wood everywhere to get more of a stretch and do things. I mean, yeah, it's something I've always done. Every gym I've had, I've always had like some kind of block or thing for stretching my calves, or because a lot of the time when I used to do calves, my calves weren't really that good. I got them good, but I've got them okay. But I didn't have genetically like Dorian calves or Mike Matarazzo calves. But I know in order to get my calves to grow, I trained at a gym when I was probably like 17, 18. And it was like the 4th or 5th floor of an old mill, and it had a spiral staircase going up it. And I would I'd have my training bag on my shoulder, and I would stretch my calves on every single step, right then left, all the way up. Every time I went to that gym, and to me, that was all about opening that fascia up, allowing for more growth, which is why I'm so into stretching everything so much.
Yeah.
When I did legs, I don't know if you probably did the same, Brian. Whenever I trained legs, I would stretch in between sets. I do hamstring stretches, quad stretches, just to open that fascia up and allow more blood and more nutrients to get into the muscle.
That's definitely one thing that I've always been huge on is the stretching in between sets. I don't know where it got lost in transition at some point, but people just stopped doing it. But I always have all my people. That's one thing I'm very repetitive. All right, stretch after every set. Stretch in between. Stretch.
Man, we got more in common than I realized. The more I talk, the more we think alike.
Yeah, man. I mean, I was even at my largest. I mean, I can still do it now too. That even at my largest, at 300 pounds, I would in between like if I'm doing some type of leg or hamstring, I would take the Smith machine, put the bar up probably about head level, and I would take my leg and just put it all the way up on top of the bar and just fully stretch the entire hamstring out.
Wow.
Yeah, you'd have to call an ambulance if I did that. No, that's not happening. That's not happening.
Stretch every day. It's amazing how flexible you can get.
I am starting to stretch more. I am stretching more. I'm actually doing stretches. I'm doing hypers more. My back feels better.
Yeah.
So yeah.
But for calves, though,
sorry, go on.
Calves, Ian, I mean, that's probably one of the most important muscles. If you really want them to grow, you really have to lengthen that head of that muscle and stretching them in between. Like not only every repetition, I've always with people I work with and myself, it's every single rep has to be fully lengthened.
Yeah.
And I even hold it down there for a few count at the bottom. Then I explode up to the contraction and I hold the contraction portion.
Yeah.
So the eccentric and the concentric are both maximized. And I mean, and I had decent calves. So, I mean, and
great calves, man. So,
and I had to, and that's how, just being really, really specific about, making sure that lengthen and shorten. I mean, and that's one muscle that I found personally with frequency with that muscle is what really seen a lot of benefit from.
I think, like you say, I think it's an utilized tool in bodybuilding is stretching that fascia out. I do it on chest. If I'm doing flies at the end of my set, I'll just hold the stretch to the point where when I was really training at full intensity, I'd get my training partner to put his hands and I'd just lean on me and this whole body weight just to stretch it out.
Sounds just like me.
Exactly.
Like even in between sets, I would go to like, say if I was doing some cable flies, after the last repetition, I fully just would let them just completely open and just walk forward and just fully lengthen the head and the pectorals. So
yeah, man, we've got a lot more in common than you realize.
It just feels good. I mean,
it feels great, doesn't it? It feels amazing. Like on chins, I'd go to a set of failure on chins. Maybe get my partner to like hold my feet and give me a couple of assisted reps. And then we used to literally grab round the waist of our training partner and take your feet off the ground, so you've got your weight and your training partner's weight, and just hang on there until your fingers just went, just to stretch that out. It's yeah, funny, absolutely funny. In fact, I remember, I've got a funny story. There's a guy called Trevor Smith who's actually passed away. Resting. You remember Trevor Smith?
Yeah.
When I first came over here, we actually stayed at Trevor's house, him and his wife Nancy. So I knew Trevor very well, and we trained together in goals one day, and we were doing chins, and I linked onto his waist, and I lifted my leg. I was about 300 pounds at the time, and I'm hanging off his waist, and his wrist strap snapped. We both fell on the ground. He turned round, and it was basically challenging me to tell me that you know, he could train as intense as anybody. And the next thing, he's on his hands and knees throwing up into his gym bag in the middle of Gold's gym. So I went, oh, and there was this big bodybuilding woman doing squats, just eyes like this, couldn't believe what was going on. So I went and grabbed a load of tissue off the thing on the side, and I threw it at him, and I'm like, this sounds awful. I went, American bodybuilders, I shit them, and I just to wind him up. I'll never forget it. He trained hard, he was very strong, but yeah, I remember, I'll never forget that. Some of the stuff, I actually remember doing it once with a guy in England, and he was wrapped on, and he wanted to quit. So I'd grab the feet, and I'd put the feet into my stomach and kind of walk underneath them, so they had to kind of go up and back. And he's like screaming, no, I'm done. I'm like, no, you're not done. I said, if you let go of that bar, I'm not letting go of your feet. So you're going face down into that floor. So it's your choice. You either keep going. Oh dear. I was a bit of an asshole, really.
Yeah, but you don't see that. That's like what we were talking about before. You don't see that anymore. People pushing each other like that.
Well, that's the challenge of bodybuilding to me. That's what it's all about.
Yeah.
That's fun.
I held that, like, that was like that was my thing that I had, is like, you know, it's like, I'm not going to let anybody out train me, or, you know, just, I mean, we wore, like I said, we told you before, I mean, our work ethic, I mean, we wear it like a badge of honor.
Yes, absolutely.
Because that's the one thing, I mean, we do have that in our control. It's just, I mean, I'd be damned if I'm going to let anybody outdo me, number one, but I'm going to be damned also if I don't give my all.
Yeah.
It's like, I don't know. I don't know. Maybe that's just the competitive nature that I have inside. I don't know.
Did you always use a training partner, Ryan?
No. There's a period of time where I didn't. I mean, for me, it was extremely hard to find somebody that was on the same level, on the same page with me.
Yeah.
Now, certain days I mean, the way I would push, like on chest or something like that, was like I needed somebody to kind of spot, and especially if I want to train past the failure mark and do a few forced reps. I mean, but for the most part, I mean, finding somebody who's, you know, mentally on the same page with you is tough.
Yeah, it is. It absolutely is.
Yeah, because at that point you just become a trainer. If they're not equivalent to you or better than you, you're training them, and you're not going to push yourself.
They leech your mental energy if they're not giving it in as much as you are. It drains you of your mental energy, because you're pushing yourself mentally, then you're pushing them. That's no good. It needs to be state.
Yeah. What would drive me crazy was if I had a partner and I'm you know, giving my all, and he's over here, you know, having conversations with somebody else that had nothing to do with our workout. I would kind of like, you know, I would kind of get upset, because, like, you know, nah, man, we're in this together. We're going to war together. It's don't turn around and not have my back, almost to a degree like that. It's like we're together, we're eye to eye, and we're going to go through this workout, and we're going to kill it 100%, no distractions whatsoever. So
I've had some good training partners over my time. There was a guy called Andy Beresford that I trained with in England, and literally before I go and train with him, I would get nervous like I was going to a fight. He had no quit in him, zero quit. I think at the end of 6 months he tore his quad and his pec, because it was like a fight every time you went in. He just would not give in, and then it was a battle of will. Even though we were friends, it was a battle of wills who was going to push the set the furthest. But they were incredible workouts. Some of those, just that's what I really look back and enjoy.
Oh yeah,
I like the shows, and it's nice to win things, and it's nice. But those workouts, that is what I loved. I absolutely loved that.
Mhm.
That's what it was all about for me, was just the training, man. The training was just, I don't know. There's just, I mean, it's hard to put, put a specific word on it. It was just, almost euphoric to me.
Yeah.
Well, just
Yeah.
get lost in the training. Just the feeling of just pushing yourself above and beyond your normal.
Mhm.
To me, it was all about when you left the gym, knowing that you had given everything you possibly could have.
Yep.
There's not even a quarter of a rep left in there. And
No,
that is like that's the best feeling ever, I think.
Yeah.
definitely.
It's not just about getting a pump, is it? I mean, it's way past
Mhm.
getting a pump.
Oh, yeah.
Maybe that's what's missing nowadays, if people don't train like that anymore.
Mhm.
No, it's very hard to find.
Yeah. So Maddie, you're in prep, and now we got your coach here, so
Mhm.
we can find out how you're really doing.
Go for it.
And you got how many weeks?
10 weeks left.
10 weeks. Okay, so you're getting there.
Yeah. Oh, I'm still training hard. He tells me not to go too intense, but I still do. I
Mhm.
love going to failure. I love being in pain when I'm at
Yeah.
the gym. And I know that could be to my detriment. 'Cause being in prep, you're in a deficit, so it's not going to do me any good. But it's
Yeah.
just how I love to train that way. So it's kind of hard to pull back. It really is hard to pull back.
Yeah. Now, Ian, do you have her doing a lot of weight or no?
Not really. I mean, saying that, she's kind of up to training intensity, and now I think it's hard to pull her back from it, because she's like really up to training intensity from how she used to train. Volume's down, her intensity's up. But my thing is, but as you're coming down, your main thing is to preserve muscle, not to build muscle. You build muscle in the off season when you're calorie positive, but when you're on a calorie deficit, the main reason of training is to hold muscle, and it's all about the diet. I mean, at the end of the day, prep's all about diet. It's really not. You're not going to change your physique as far as muscle mass goes. And then the last 10 weeks, it's but the person that can hold on to all that, as much muscle as possible, and strip it of body fat and bring in all those lines, that's really where the success is.
Yeah.
That's what I see, So I think it's hard to, if you're used to training really hard, it's hard to kind of dial it back, because that's where your head is. And I'll be honest with you, I didn't. I'm just passing on my knowledge of what I know now. I never dialed it back. I mean, that's a.
Well,
Maybe
that's
I dialed it back the last couple of weeks, but
yeah.
you get wiser as you get a bit older, and you look back and you think, well, you can't really grow when you're on a calorie deficit. You can't build new muscle per se. So,
And that's what Dorian brought up. That's what I was going to say. You notice
Yes,
he notice he said that.
Yeah.
He's kind of changed that mentality.
Yeah, and it's I think as when you get older or you stop competing, I think you can look into it. But when you're actually competing, you can't see the forest for the trees. You're in it, and I think the worst person to ask yourself how you're looking is yourself, because you never like what you see. And that's why I never had a coach in my entire life. I never had anybody coaching me. I never had anybody telling me. I did everything by myself. And looking back, I wish I'd had another pair of eyes, because looking from the outside in is much easier than looking from the inside out.
Yep, very true.
Yeah. So if you had a coach today, Ian, who would you pick?
Oh, I have no idea.
That's a good question.
Ryan,
That's a good question.
Somebody like Ryan. I think somebody like Ryan, who's been there, done it, and knows all the ins and outs of training, dieting, competing. I think there's a lot of so-called experts out there now that maybe, I don't know, done one show and suddenly they're a coach. And I think that's insane. It's like, I mean, if you're going to get surgery off a doctor, would you prefer someone who's done that surgery like hundreds of times or once? I know I'd pick, and there's no difference. There's no difference with bodybuilding. I mean, if it's done wrong, it can hurt you indefinitely.
Yeah.
So I think I brought this up before. I think too many coaches nowadays rely on diuretics and stuff like that, and I think there's so many ways to do it a much healthier way and coming looking better. It's supposed to be a healthy sport, right? That's why I started it, because I thought, when I saw a bodybuilder, they were the epitome of health and strength, and somehow it's gone, but it's not the healthiest thing to do anymore. I don't like that.
Yeah.
No.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So-
I think as a coach, I mean, Ryan's your coach, right?
Yes.
Yeah, I mean, why did you pick Ryan? Because of his experience, right?
Yeah, and my last coach, not that he was bad. I was kind of plateaued.
Right.
I'd been with him. He's the one that actually got me started in the bodybuilding. And I was winning some shows, and then all of a sudden I was kind of just getting third because I had moved up to national level shows, and I getting third and fourth, and it just didn't feel right. So I found Ryan, and he kind of took me to that next level. So
Yeah, I think it's very hard to beat experience.
yeah.
You know, nowadays you've got a lot of these Instagram famous coaches.
Yeah.
Yeah,
and we could get
themselves.
Yeah, and we could do a whole series on trainers, but I'm a firm believer you got to click with your trainer. You got to have a good relationship. If you don't have a good relationship, that's why I'm still hesitant about online trainers, like somebody that's in another state or another country that's coaching you. I don't agree with it. I think you should at least have some face-to-face time.
Well, it's like I do online training, but most of mine is like this. I mean, I'm on a FaceTime call with them. Can't be there physically with them, but obviously, I think it's much better if you're there because you see things when you're in front of someone, differently to how you see things on a video.
Yeah.
So I think the ultimate is to have somebody who's face to face with you, and honestly, somebody who can actually train with you. Actually do a workout with you because it's okay.
Mm-hmm.
One of the big thing with me is like I'll tell people what they should do, but I almost feel bad. I feel like I should do it first to show them how intense they should be doing it and what level to push to.
Yeah.
It's almost like I don't know. It's hard for me to ask somebody to do something that I wouldn't do.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, no.
That's
definitely a big part is the diet. I mean, you can be a coach and you can have somebody, doing a great meal plan, supplementation plan, everything. But if the level of intensity is not up to par to where it should be, I mean, the person will get good, but they may be missing that little extra, percentage that can really kick them into the next level. So training intensity is extremely important. That's why most of the people I work with, if they're able to, I definitely have them come and train a few of their lagging body parts with me so they can kind of get a feel of what type of intensity level that I expect.
Do you do online training, Ryan?
I mean, I have for a few here and there, but the most people, I mean, if you look at all my social media stuff, I don't even put it out there that I coach, just for that reason alone, is that I really don't. I mean, number one, I mean, I've never found like the online stuff to be my favorite way, but although I can do it and I've done it and been successful with people, I just like that hands-on, like in person, one-on-one that you get to see and put fresh eyes on that, for me, I love that more than anything.
I agree.
Being able to spend like that one-on-one time with somebody and kind of like, tell them what I want and kind of feed my philosophies and how I feel about training and diet. I love face to face, that's just, there's something about that is just, it's much more valuable to me.
Well, with a lot of my clients, when I train them, I mean, I'll check in once a week, but the check-in isn't just looking at them. It's like literally, I have a gym at my house, so I'll be in the gym and I'll show them what I want them to do, and I'll set my camera up in certain angles to show them where I want their elbows or whatever in the tempo, and then I'll literally talk them through each rep, and I'll tell them when they need to go back into the next set, the whole tempo of everything. So I mean, it's not the perfect scenario, but I think it's better than just giving them a workout saying do that.
Definitely.
Yeah. Now, Maddie, you do your posing clinics, so you help with that. Now, can you do that online, or is that better to do in person?
I also do it online. I do posing sessions with girls in PCA right now.
Mm-hmm.
And
is that hard?
No, I really click with it. Just being able to watch someone, I can critique them, and I also I'll mirror them, and we'll do it together over FaceTime.
Mm-hmm.
I think it's a great way to keep up with posing. If I can get an in-person session, even better, because I do like moving their arms around or repositioning their feet. Sometimes it's easier to do in person than it is on FaceTime, but I still make it work, and I really, really enjoy it.
Maddie's brilliant at it. I've seen her in action. She's fantastic at that.
Yeah.
She really is.
Yeah, I guess it depends on the person. I'm sure you can see if you on the video that they're doing it, or it's like, okay, hey, you need to come in person. We need to work on this.
Yeah.
I think some people pick up things that verbally what you say. Some people will click and they'll get it and they'll be able to change things. And a lot of it's how you describe it. And Maddie's brilliant at it. I've seen her do it. She's any athlete that's looking to do bikini posing should get in touch with her because she's fantastic at it. She really is.
Perfect.
Yeah, sounds good. So what you got coming up, Ian? Is the first timer show? Is that first coming up first?
No, the next show we have is 4 weeks on Saturday, and it's the Iron Bay Classic.
That's in Tampa, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Jose Santiago is the promoter.
I know Jose.
That's 9/11, right?
9/11, yes.
Yeah.
I know Jose. I know Jose pretty well. I mean, I like Jose a lot. He's a great guy.
He really is. He really is. And he's all about the athletes. He's all about giving them, you're giving good awards and a good show and everything, which fits in with what we're looking to do. I think that show's been an existing show for the last 6 or 7 years. The first year that he's doing under the PCA banner. So we're looking forward to it. We've got athletes coming from multiple different states coming down to compete. Some really good, again, some incredible quality athletes. One thing, we might not have the numbers yet, but I'll tell you what, we're getting the quality. We really are getting the quality, But this is looking like the numbers are going to be great for this show. So, yeah, if anybody wants to come and see a PCA show, it's Jefferson High School in Tampa, September 11th. The show will be starting at 12 noon, and it will be done and dusted by between 5 and 6 p.m. Just the way we run the shows. But yeah, it's and then the weekend after we have a first timer show in Georgia, in Rome, Georgia. And also on the same day we're doing a regular show up there. So that's on September 18th. And then the next show, the last qualifier for us, is October 3rd. And that's the Florida Classic, PCA Florida Classic in St. Petersburg at the Palladium in St. Pete. And then our USA Finals is October 16th in Tampa. So I'd like both of you guys to be at that one for sure.
Yeah.
October 16th, put in your calendar.
October 16th, you say, Ian?
October 16th, yeah.
Okay.
It's a Saturday.
Okay.
Should be a good show. The only downside this year for us is typically with our PCA USA Finals, we attract a lot of international athletes. I think we had 9 countries represented at our very first show in 2018. We have athletes from Israel, South Africa, UK, obviously, but this year, but due to all the COVID restrictions that are clamping down, Israel can't put a team out, Australia can't, South Africa can't, South Korea can't. So they're really clamping down with the COVID. So it's not going to be as we're not going to have as many international athletes this year, so it'll be a little bit of a smaller show. But next year, we're already working on our schedule for next year, and we're probably looking at about 15 to 20 shows next year in areas that we've never had shows before. So we're definitely growing. We've got more athletes, more people on board wanting to promote and compete with us. So I don't like to wish the year over, but I think next year is going to be a breakthrough year for us for sure.
Awesome.
Yeah. I know we talked about that after Dorian's show with us, and we can talk about it now. That about Ryan and I helping out, and I've been wanting to get one in Ocala. So
that'd be great.
What do you think? We probably need to do get a posing seminar here somewhere at one of these gyms to kind of see what kind of crowd we can get.
Absolutely. I mean, you know Doc Hall, right?
Yeah. Oh yeah, I know Doc.
Yes, I'll get Doc to speak to Golds in Ocala, and and maybe do something up there or any other gym in that area. And I mean,
I know the owners of all the gyms here, so I can talk to any of them. So.
Yeah, talk to them and see what we can set up. I mean, I'm always available. The one thing I do have in abundance, not brains, but I have plenty of enthusiasm for the sport. I love it. I absolutely love it, and I love doing the posing seminars. So I'll go there and I'll spend hours with these athletes. And I really want to push the sport. I don't want to see it go down. I want to see it go up. I love it. I love bodybuilding, just like you guys do. You know, that's why we're all here talking. I really love it, and I want to promote the sport in general and give athletes another opportunity, a different opportunity than, you know, it's not a one size fits all sport.
All right.
Yeah. I think there's other federations that offer different things, and I think the PCA, I think we offer a lot of things that are all centered around making it better for the athlete, more affordable. You know, the whole thing that we do a through show rather than a pre-judging and a night show, I think that's a massive bonus for an athlete and for the people that are coming to watch them. You know, there's a lot of things that we do, and we don't do it for monetary gain. We do it to look after the athlete. We think ultimately that's going to, you know, attract more athletes if it's a better experience for them. So yeah, I can't wait to do a show over there with you guys. It's going to be cool.
Yeah, man.
Next year, I've got a lot of very passionate people involved, which is what it's all about.
Yeah.
It's at the end of the day, it's all about the advancement of the sport as a whole. And it's, I mean, I just love bodybuilding, and I love bodybuilding in its purest form. I consider myself a bodybuilding purist, a purist of the sport in general. So, I mean, I'm down with anything that is promoting the sport in a positive direction, just to advance it.
Yeah.
So, I mean, to have to be somebody that, you know, has to pick a team is just, it's just beyond me, because bodybuilding should be for any and everybody, and you shouldn't have to pick a side or do this. So I'm all about the sport, man. I love it, and it's whatever we have to do, man. I love where you're at, Ian. I love, you know, talking with you and knowing you for the period of time that we have now. I mean, I see your passion for the sport and your love for the sport, and just to be a part of that, man, it would be an honor for me. So
that's awesome. That's all I want. I want like-minded people to push the sport forward, and, you know, give opportunities where there maybe wasn't opportunities before. And like you, I love bodybuilding, and I just think I think honestly, I feel like athletes should be able to compete wherever they want. I mean, they used to. Arnold used to compete in the NABA Federation, then he'd come over and compete in the IFBB, and that was all kind of quashed by the weeders back in the day. But I think I understand why they did it, to try and monopolize things. I understand the business side of it, but I don't think that's a good thing for any sport to monopolize it. I think athletes should be able to compete in not just PCA, compete in other federations. I think you know, to me, the best way is for all the champions to come together in one big event where every Mr. Universe or every, you know, all the top guys compete against each other.
Yeah.
That's kind of how that's my vision for the future.
That would definitely be the ideal situation. I mean,
yeah. And that's my idea for the show. It's like, I don't, of course, my bodybuilding is my forte and what I love talking about, but I'll bring a NASCAR driver on here and talk to him if he wants to come on, you know? Yeah, I like anything to do with sports and stuff. Like I'm working on this lady right now that's I don't know if you saw her on the news, Ryan. She's in Central Florida. She's 100 years old and she's a power lifter.
Oh wow.
Yeah, and she just turned 100 years old and she's like shattering all these records. And I just emailed her coach, and I'm gonna try to get her on the show. But it's stuff like that, you know, and when we have like when Dorian was on, you know, I love hearing his stories, and I like, especially when Ian comes on, you know, and of course I got a little worried. I was when I introduced Ian, I was like, oh, what's going to happen here? He's either going to say, he's either going to call, excuse my language here, Matt. He's either going to call him an asshole, or he's going to say, thankfully he said, oh, hey, mate.
He was more shot by a slant of Leeds accent, wasn't he?
Yeah, I was sweating a little bit. I was like, oh God, how's this going to go? But it went good. It went good. But I love
time rivals. That's all.
Yeah. So you know, I love it. So
no, it's good. I mean, you know, like I say, I think athletes should be able to compete wherever they want, and like pro bodybuilders, I think as a pro athlete, you should be able to go where the money is. And you know, like I heard that the guy that won the Tampa Pro got criticized by some people for going and competing in another pro show. Well, that's what he's doing for a living.
Yeah.
That's what he's doing for a living. He's a professional athlete. He should be able to go and compete wherever he wants.
Yeah. He got a little flack for.
What about Ian?
Yeah, Ian got a little flack for competing, saying that he's going to compete in Dallas after he won the Tampa Pro,
Yeah.
which is absolutely absurd. I mean, you're a professional bodybuilder. That's your profession. If you're going to monetize it, and why not go? I mean, shoot, back in the 90s, you would see the Lavrones and the Sean Ray and the Flex Wheelers. They would compete in like, even yourself. How many shows would you compete in a year, Ian?
Oh, look at Milos. Yeah.
Oh,
Milos competed in every show.
I was like in '95. I did the San Jose Pro. I did the Arnold Classic. I did the Olympia, and then I did the German Grand Prix, the Spanish Grand Prix, and the English Grand Prix. So that's 6 shows in a year.
That's
And most of those Grand Prix shows were a day after each other. So Thursday in Germany, Friday in Spain, Saturday in England. You know?
so yeah, man. So I mean, that's what you do as a professional. You
Exactly.
compete.
Yeah.
I mean, and you know that I think that's great that he's doing that. Maybe you could start a trend that more guys will do that throughout the year. That brings much more entertainment value to the shows instead of having just the one guy who's going to win, and you know he's going to win. Make each show more competitive. Take all the winners and let them all compete against each other in each show. Let them battle it out more than just at one show.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
That would bring a lot more entertainment to the sport as a whole.
I mean, at the end of the day, if you are a professional athlete, you're supposed to be able to earn money from that profession, right?
Yeah,
that's what you're supposed to do. I think
Yeah.
bodybuilding's turned out into the only sport in the world where the professional athletes pay the federation to compete. I mean, that's literally, I mean, how did that happen? If you told an NFL football player that he had to pay the team to play, I mean, I don't think there'd be that many professional football players, do you?
Mm-hmm.
It's insane. It's absolute to me. That's insane.
Mm-hmm.
And another thing, as a professional bodybuilder, you should be able to go if you've got a sponsor, or you can make money at a bodybuilding show selling pictures or promoting a product. Then what you should be able to go to any show and do that and promote that product and make money. You're a professional bodybuilder.
Should be.
It shouldn't just be this show or this show. You
Yeah.
should be able to do whatever you want. I think it's crazy.
Mm-hmm.
It's absolutely crazy. But hey, that's just me. Maybe I'm crazy. I don't know.
Well, I think we're all a little bit crazy.
Yeah.
To put ourselves through these diets, I think so.
Well, you've certainly got our passion for it to tolerate what we do.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I mean, it's tough. I mean, it really is. It's a like I said when we started, it's probably the toughest sport there is. You need more dedication and self-control in bodybuilding than any other sport I know of.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, that's what attracted me to it. I mean, my background, what got me into bodybuilding was judo. My father taught judo. So I was into judo from a very young age. And I firmly believe without the discipline that I got from my judo, I wouldn't have been the bodybuilder I was. I don't think I'd have had that discipline.
Mm-hmm.
Definitely.
What was your background, Ryan?
I was an athlete, man. I played every sport. I was basketball, baseball, football. I was just
discipline, right?
And extreme discipline, but I was just always, I had that competitive nature inside me. I always wanted to, but I've always been like that since the time I was a kid. Anything I did, whether it's, sports or even in school, or I always wanted to be my absolute best at everything I put my hands to. Yeah. Whether if I'm trying to cook breakfast or as a kid trying to learn how to cook, everything I put my hands to, I always strived with the spirit of excellence, just to try to be as good at everything I'm doing as, I always found that, I wasn't doing myself justice if I was half-ass anything. Yeah, so then after my competitive sports stuff ended, there was bodybuilding. I was like, wow, this is perfect. It's just another way to, then of course I took the spirit of excellence and applied it there. And, I made it a lot further than anybody ever thought I would. So, I mean, is
that how you were brought up? Is that your parents or is that just you?
That's just, that's just something that I've always had on the inside of me, is just, I always wanted to be, I was the runt of my family. I was the baby. Right. I had 2 older brothers and an older sister. So I don't know where it comes from. I don't know if it was me trying to just, prove myself as being the baby, I don't know where it came from. I believe it's, just something that was always, it was a gift that it was on the inside of me that I always had the desire to just be my absolute best at everything I wanted that I did. So, or anything that I wanted to put my hand to. I never had there was nothing that I ever wanted to accomplish that I didn't believe that I could do.
You're like that, Maddie, right? You're from an athletic background, right?
Yeah, definitely. I grew up doing sports since I was a little kid, definitely.
Yeah.
But I was never competitive. It was always to challenge myself to get good at something. And I think that really helped me with bodybuilding as well.
Yep.
But you're a perfectionist too, Maddie. I mean, some of the things that I've seen you do, I mean, like the silly thing, them baskets that you showed.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
I mean,
in art,
that'd
be the best piece of art I was gonna make, or I would have to start over and do it again.
that's the perfectionist. I think everybody. What's your background, Jason?
Believe it or not, when I was in high school, I raced cars.
Oh, wow.
I started out racing stock cars. I did that up until I was about 20.
So you're crazy.
Yeah, I did a lot of crazy stuff. I wrecked a lot of cars. I think I was on my roof more than I was on the wheels when I raced. Yeah, I was a little kamikaze. So then I got into law enforcement and started powerlifting. And actually, I started competing in the law enforcement and the fireman games. And actually,
won Island, right?
No, that was for bodybuilding. I started out powerlifting. Right, okay. I actually won some gold medals. Shoot, at one time I was pulling almost 700 deadlift.
Wow.
Yeah, when I tore my knee, I pulled 700. And then after I tore my knee, I started getting into bodybuilding, and then I started competing from there. So
it's amazing how bodybuilders come from all these different backgrounds. But yeah, the one thing about it all is I think that the good ones are perfectionists.
Mm-hmm.
They want everything to be perfect, and they're organized usually.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I've always been like a planner. Like I would literally, I started out by doing it on my hand, but then I graduated to a pad. And I'd write everything down in order what I was going to do the following day, in sequential order of how it was going to be, done. And I think that's I think people like that have got kind of an organized brain. I think they excel at bodybuilding because you've got to be very organized and very disciplined to do it.
Mm-hmm.
Extremely.
Yeah. Yeah.
I never really I would write things down, but I had this uncanny ability to just make mental notes of everything. So I mean, I can tell you, even with the clients that I train, I know all their weights, I know where they're at, what they're doing, how many reps they're doing, and I mean, and I'll train, I can't, just so many people on a daily basis that I always know each person, what they're doing, what their weights are, how many reps they did last week, what they did this week. So it's just the ability to, when you're passionate about something and you pay attention to the details, it's just, for me, it was always easy to remember things. I mean, I would do weekly. I would sit down once a week and I would remember everything and just jot it all down. Mm-hmm. So that I knew going into the next week, I knew what I had to do to improve on those lifts or those reps, whether it's weight or repetitions. So I just had the mental fortitude and the ability to kind of just like analytically memorize everything. So
the reason I wrote it down is so I could sleep. So I didn't go over it and over it and over it at night. I'd write down, then I go, okay, I can set my mind, I'll go to sleep.
I'll have to think about it. Yeah,
I get it. It's passion. There's a lot to do with passion. You got the passion for something, and nothing seems hard, does it? Mm-hmm. And when you're doing something you love, you never go to work.
No.
Mm-hmm.
No.
That's right. That's right. Well, I would say, gentlemen, ladies and gentlemen, I don't have anything else unless you guys got something, and gals. No, we good. So we'll next week we'll work on some guests. I know, Ian, you got a couple people, and Ryan, you got somebody that we're gonna work on.
Yep, definitely.
And then
ready to roll.
Yeah.
He's ready to come on. So
okay, we'll go from there, and then maybe we'll do some individual interviews and stuff. So we'll figure it out.
Awesome.
Yep, we'll be in touch. So yeah, very good.
See, this is fun. I love just talking shop.
Yeah, this is like one of our first that we hadn't had a guest, I think, isn't it?
Yeah, I mean, I believe
it's been a while.
It's been a while.
I think our first show we didn't have one.
Yeah, no, yeah. It's been a while, and I think it's great that we can just sit here and just talk amongst each other and just, just share our love and our passion for the sport. Yeah.
Mhm.
It's cool because we haven't really run out of things to talk about, have we? You know?
Oh man, I can go all day and
Yeah, I
night.
know, exactly. That's what I'm saying.
That's the beautiful thing about it. I don't have any
Yeah.
notes written down, and we just,
Mhm.
just is what it is. I mean, when you, like I said, what you said, if you're passionate and you love something, it's
Yeah.
Easy to talk about.
Yeah.
yeah, definitely.
Well, next time I'll try not to talk too much. I'll let Maddie get more words in because I'm kind of I apologize.
Thank you so much for the wisdom, guys.
Yeah. Thanks for coming, Maddie. That was sweet.
Maddie,
Good
just in
time.
your little box, just throw some elbows from side to side, and if you need, hit Ian and then hit Jason, and Jason will hit me,
Yeah.
so you can
I'll
talk.
just bounce. Oh, wait a minute. I got to bounce that way.
She's with me for life for now, but she won't be next week. I'm sure she will. She'll be out. She'll be out.
Yeah. I can't wait to see your progression from 10 weeks. So you're at 10 weeks now, you're all happy and all this.
Yeah.
Now we'll remember this when you get to about 4 weeks out, how if you start yelling at us and stuff. Yeah.
Thing about Maddie, she's always happy.
Yeah.
That's great.
I have seen her on prep before, and she's always got a smile on her face. She's the most positive person I've ever met in my entire life.
Thank you. I mean, on the inside, I'm dying and I'm dragging, but I am really happy though.
Good.
I'm doing something I love too. Like no one told me I have to diet. No one told me I have to put myself through a grueling
Mhm.
workout to the point where it's difficult to drive myself home, but I still do it because I love it.
Yeah.
See, that's kind of how I was too. It's just like, if this is a choice, we're choosing to do this lifestyle, this sport, this whatever it is. I've never, I mean, I mean, maybe somebody else, maybe one of my exes in the past might tell you different, but I always thought I was happy at all times and
Yeah.
in a good mood. But I mean,
Yeah.
It
Just
was-
wait till I start prep and you guys are going to be like, boy, I've never heard Jason curse that much before.
You get grumpy, Jess.
Between my job and everything else, yeah, I do sometimes.
Jason's just going to get a cardboard cutout of himself and just put it in the box.
Yeah. Yeah. Let you guys talk.
Don't worry, Ian and I will go on for hours and hours and hours.
Yeah. No, I'm not. I've gotten better as I've gotten older, so it's a little easier.
That's funny. In fairness, I used to be grumpy as hell. I was horrible on a diet. My wife will testify.
Mhm.
I was. I don't know. I think it's just because I was so damn tired. I don't think it's because I was grumpy or not happy. I was just so damn tired that everything was an effort. You know, I think that's kind of where mine came from. Plus, I was young. I was in my 20s. You know, I think if I did it now, I'd have a different perspective on it.
Yeah.
But in all honesty, I won't do it now.
Mhm.
If I'm being honest, I won't do it now. So
No.
I'll never find out.
No, if I'm on night shift, it's usually hard for me. That's when
Yeah, I
it's
remember that.
me
Yeah,
the
that was
most.
tough.
Yeah. Mhm.
Yeah, I would never get like grumpy or mad. I would just zone out and get quiet.
Yeah, really quiet. But a lot of people perceive being quiet as being grumpy.
Exactly. They're like, "What's
Yeah.
wrong with you? You okay?
Yeah.
Okay." I was like, "Yeah, I'm perfect. I'm just a little tired and drained right now, so we don't have
Yeah.
a whole lot to say."
I will say though, when I'm on prep and I work nights, I had like the most arrests out of anybody.
Oh my goodness. I wouldn't want to get pulled over by you when you're on a diet.
No, I'm just kidding. I'm just kidding. I'm just kidding. Everybody like, Jason, what'd you take this guy to jail for? I don't know. I'll figure it out when I get there.
He was eating a hamburger.
Yeah. He was eating a burger in front of me and he
He
gave
was
me a
eating
dirty look.
burger.
He looked at me the wrong way.
It's called POP, pissing off the police. I'm joking, everybody. Relax. All right. All right. Y'all have a good evening.
All
We're
right.
out.
Awesome.
Thank you guys.
All right. We'll see you next time.
Bye.